December 2024 is the season to eat too much food and play a lot of games. Hi everyone, it's Stella here.
And Tarrant from Meeple University.
Welcome to our top games of December 2024. Well, this is January the 1st in Australia, and this is the right time for us to do top games. Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Oh, by the time you watch this, it's probably too late. I mean, it's still the New Year, so still like, Happy New Year! Thank you, Tarrant.
It'll still be like socially required that you say Happy New Year to every person that you see at work for the first time for like another 2 weeks.
That's okay, but I work on my own, so I just talk to you, hey, Happy New Year, which is very good. So we played lots of games, and this is our top games of the month, and we have not done our top games of 2024 yet because we are really optimizing our time and then thinking about which games are going to be on our top lists. And we are going to split those into two, so 11 to 20 and then 1 to 10. So that is coming, we still do it. I mean, every content creator does it different way. Some people like to do it middle December, for example. They probably have a holiday because I'm sure they work so hard. It is a lot of work to do, contents on games. So do whatever they want. They may have holidays from playing new games or just did what Paul Grogan did. He did, I'm pretty sure I saw it pop up, maybe because I'm a Patreon supporters or whatever. I'm pretty sure I saw his video of top games of 2023.
And he does like to really
Yeah.
optimize 2023's list.
Yes.
And it takes some time to really know where a game sits.
Yes, so however everyone does it, we are going to do it maybe sometime mid-January potentially. But now, I'm going to show you first our top games of December.
So as usual, these are games from various sources. They're new to us games, so not all of them are going to be new in December 2024. Some of them have come to us as review copies, games we've purchased, games we've done content on, but all of this video is our opinion.
So let's get started.
So as usual, these are games from various sources. They're new to us games, so not all of them are going to be new in December 2024. Some of them have come to us as review copies, games we've purchased, games we've done content on, but all of this video is our opinion. So
let's get started. My number 5 game is River of Gold, aka River of Gold. I mean, the O is there.
It does look like that, yes.
This is from the Legend of the Five Rings universe, which we have not played at all, other games, just the same universe, but different games. So in River of Gold, you are merchants, so you are going through the river, trying to trade, fulfill orders, and so on. And it is driven by die roll, and that actually dictates how many spaces your ship can go, or you have full choice of building you can have from, but what area of the river you can build, and also to fulfill orders. Of course, there are dice mitigations, but that's it. Just those 3 things on your turn, and then you just try to maximize your income because you...
And efficient, because the game, it doesn't last that long, so you really do need to optimize what you're doing, so it makes for an interesting play.
Yes, and what I love about it is that it's not tough to play. It's an easy entry. It's on Board Game Arena. We've played a few times also on Board Game Arena. Wink, wink if you want to try it. And it is just those 3 actions that trigger other things and, form your strategies, what you're going to do, just solely based on those.
Number 5 game for me that I've played this month is Mistwind, as distinct from Mythwind, which also came out this year. Mistwind, this is I would say a medium weight worker placement game. It's got an interesting twist, so there's lots of actions out there, but each has a number, and you have 1 disc of each number that you have to place. And what you're doing with those actions is trying to build up a network and a pick up and deliver. And it's hard. I always find it's hard to get pick up and deliver in particular into a Euro kind of context. And I think Mistwind has done it really well, because you can take actions to build outposts, which form a permanent network, and you can take actions to place transports out, which are these floating whales who carry stuff. And at the end of each of your turns, your whales can move around. They can move around free if they're in spaces that have your outposts or other whales, or it costs you resources. So you have to kind of build up a network that doesn't cost you too many resources to move. And once you've got that, you can start delivering stuff more quickly, and then there's an area majority thing for who delivers how much. And then on top of the pick up and deliver, there's also a network side of things, and you can temporarily have networks because your whales count as part of your network, but then they can move away and do something else.
Yeah.
So it mixes those things together in an incredibly clever way that I don't think I've seen pick up and deliver particularly done that well in a Euro context before.
I do like pick up and deliver game, and this one, as Tarrant said, it does well in trying to throw in other mechanics for that pick up and deliver genre for Eurogamers. My number 4 is Steam Power. This game is designed by Martin Wallace and in-house published by Wallace Design, which is his own design company. I believe this was kickstarted, and then it probably just fulfilling. We picked it up from Essen, and this is a train game.
It's a game. It's a game with trains. It's not a train
yes.
game in the shareholding sense,
No,
but it is
yes.
a game with trains.
Yes. So you are building networks. You either build tracks for your own network and put your train. So yeah, that's mine. Or build factories to produce goods and fulfill contracts. And you can gain contracts. So there are 4 different actions. That's basically your game. You're trying to maximize all your network. If you don't have the goods to fulfill contracts, you can pay other players to gain the goods that you need.
Yeah, it very much, you can see the brass influence here. So
yes.
Wallace designed brass many, many years ago. This has the similar network thing to the coal and the iron in there, where if you're the one who builds a factory, anyone can take from your factory, but then once that factory is empty, you flip it over and that will score you the points.
So what I love about Steam Power is that it's like brass light. So brass being brass Lancashire light. So if you like that sort of thing, but you want something not as heavy, then there's Steam Power. The other thing that I like is that the bonus, so each time you fulfill contract, you get some sort of bonus. Could be just points, or could be gaining, doing other actions. So that makes it very efficient to say gain contract, and then you pick up more contracts to your hands or build more tracks on the board. That makes really good engine building. Like at the end of the game, usually everyone scores very close. So endgame trigger is 11 contracts. But everyone would have...
At 3 players.
At 3 players, sorry, yes, for example, to play different player counts. But then every time the game ends, everyone usually has got close score. So almost similar amount of contracts, and that makes it a really tight game.
Number 4 for me is Daitoshi.
And my number 3 also, Daitoshi. By the way, if we have other videos related to these games, we'll link it below as usual.
Yes. So this is a Danny Garcia game from Devia Games, and it's got a lot of shared world building. It's something we've seen in Garcia's earlier games, which I quite like. So Daitoshi is a game which has a rondel, which is the city, and you'll be moving around it. And anytime you go to a space, you can activate workshops there using workers and steam that you've collected. Then you have to exploit the landscape that's there. So you take a hex from the board that will give you workers and steam, but it will start to weaken your player board, because if you collect too many hexes of the same type, some of your powers are going to get weaker. And then there's a main action, and those main actions are all building up joint elements of the board. The rondel gets more powerful. There's a mega machine which moves around the board, that gets more powerful, and that kind of escalates the game and makes everyone's actions more explosive towards the end.
Engine building is what I love about this game. So you can engine build out of your engine build. So there is production turn, which is you're activating all your engines, and that bit where you gain resources, but other players also activating or gaining income when that happens. Not as powerful, but they still do, which is really fun. They still have to pay the cost to activate their building, but that's a really good way of interaction between players.
Yeah. This is quite a heavy game, but you get into the flow of it as it goes along, and it has a really interesting pace as well. You can race the end of the game, which was something you could do in Arborea, which was one of Garcia's earlier games, and you can really race it a lot further than you can in many games. It's got quite a wide range of how long it can go for, which I think, adds this extra dimension as well.
It's I wouldn't say punishing, it's some way of punishing. So every single action pretty much give you potentially negative things that you have to manage, but can be turned into points. So when you manage that well, it just feels very satisfying.
The number 3 game for me is an older game. This one came out in 2020. It is Cafe, and this is a little... It's not technically a solo game, but it's a very solo feeling game. It is a game where you're laying cards on top of other cards to try to create a coffee supply chain. So every time you take a turn, you look at 3 cards and pick one. And if you're playing with more than one player, you're giving the leftovers to the next player who picks one. So you can maybe take cards that the other player wants a little bit, but it's a fairly solitary type of experience. You have to lay it down so it covers at least 2 squares on a previous card. And you're trying to lay them out in such a way that it creates orthogonally adjacent sets of coffee beans of the different colours, orthogonal sets of drying spaces, roasting spaces, and then some contracts. And you need to find a way to diversify, which means the game can kind of, how you set and what you cover up can shift over time.
Yes.
Because your points are going to come from contracts or from your 2 fewest colours of the 4 types of coffee beans. So it's a really clever little game and a really nice one to get out and play solitaire if you want.
I know, it's really fun to figure out, okay, you want to group the same actions together, so when you activate it, those are, being activated at the same time, but you also need that diversity to eventually gain points. And you need to also adding more actions, so you have that options to keep adding actions so that you do more actions each turn. So just trying to balance that, maximize it. And I love the fact that the scoring is like the 2 least resource. So, that's always something about, try to generalize everything, trying to balance everything. That's actually the theme of this game. My number 2 is Mistwind. You've seen this before. The designers are actually the ones designed Sagrada. So I've actually refer you back to Tarrant's explanations, what it was about. But what I love most about Mistwind is that the unique action, like a worker placement action. So there are 4 different sets of the worker placement discs that you have. So you have 5, number 1 to 5, and at the start of the round you discard one secretly, like each player discard one secretly. So, and each set of action would have action number 1 to 5. So by discarding that, you commit it at the start of the round to not go to that one. So, and you can only go to that one set of action space once. So that's, once you're there, and then, other players can just see that, okay, you're not going to go there anymore because you've put your disc there. But there's also this forward place where you can just place any number of things, like kind of like compensation bit, gives you bonus and such. Not always, compensations could mean that it's not as powerful, but it could be powerful if you time it right? So I really laugh about that. So when you actually, at some point you are last player, and then you can see, okay, that person has already used their number 4, and that person's already used their number 4. That means they're not going to go to that spot or number 4 on any of the spots that is left behind. And I love the fact that you put away one disc, so there's always one mystery of what that player is going to play. So many things like this. All right. The other thing that I love is that obviously building network, and you can build your engine by putting network together and trying to gain the money to fund your actions. A way to build your network is by paying money rather than paying resources. And we have an engine, you have a network, and then it's easier for you then to fulfill contract. It has that ticket to ride feel of kind of like a network, what you need to build in the main board, and then you discard one, and then you have 2 you can fulfill.
Yeah, except it has that little twist where you can fulfill a card and then move the transport away and use it to fulfill another one.
Yep.
So, my number 2 for the month, we're staying with the same publishers here, Pythagoras. This is Asian Tigers. So this is an Essen release. It is a very dry looking spreadsheet type Euro, and it's kind of old school in that way.
Yes.
It's a game, it's set around the booming
60s?
Asian economies of the 60s.
Yes.
And you've got the 4 economies out on the board, and every turn, or most turns, you're going to spend some funds in that area. You've got a limited amount in each area, and use it to place an infrastructure on the board. So it's a constant game of just putting pieces on the board and getting whatever benefit that gives you. And there's a few different ways of getting benefits. So the space will give you a benefit. The piece you take off your player board will eventually empty up some segments, which will give you a benefit. And you're fighting for majorities in those areas, influence in those areas, because a big part of the points at the end of the game is going to come from, firstly, your influence in each area, and then your influence globally, which comes from making sales of goods to different countries.
Yep.
It has this clever worker placement mechanism where each segment is broken into a strong, a medium, and a weak subsection.
Yeah,
And there are
yep.
3 colours of worker, and once someone has set the colour of a certain segment, that is its colour for the rest of the game. So
For the rest of the round.
for the rest of the round, sorry, and there's 2 rounds. And your workers are in a set order. You randomise the order that you have to place the 3 colours at the start of the round. So you've got to kind of look at what other players have got, and you're constantly looking at that to figure out, can that player do the action I want, or will that player do the action I want? So yeah, it's very clever, and it clicks together quite well.
Very interactive, and then there's this really big time element. You have to go there first, but then, that you can see other players what workers they're gonna place, and like you want to go there now because you have the right worker, and then you want to set what color worker goes there because you want to get the action straight away. That sort of thing. It's really, really fun. There's a few tracks as well. You need to kind of like area control thing, and then you set your own scoring at the end of the game as well. Because what you get, you can gain lots of points by gaining those.
Yeah, setting
Those
those,
things, yeah.
going to those objectives,
Yeah.
setting some objectives.
Very fun game. And my number 1 is Star Trek Captain's Chair. I am a big fan of Star Trek, so maybe this is why it's number. No, not really. It's a really great game. I have to wait for more than 1 year to talk about this, to praise this game, because I play the prototype at Gen Con 2023 with David Turchi, one of the designers. So this is drawing inspiration from Imperium, which is by a different company, and this is Star Trek theme where you are one of the Star Trek captains. It is a 1 or 2 player game, and you have your deck of, your crew. Obviously Picard would have Riker, Data, and so on, and then other captain would have their own crew in the series, in the movies. And this is technically a deck building game, which if you think the Minion, one of the first or well-known deck building, has got the later version of the minions. So there are persistent effect that stays on the board. There are other things that you can recruit in a different way, and a very clever endgame trigger. There are 2 endgame triggers. You can gain points if you get the goals. There are action that gives you incident cards. So they act as it has it on action, but if you have lots of them, then that's another endgame trigger. If there's no more of the stacks of those cards, then endgame, and then whoever's got the most of those cards will lose. Yes. So it's really, really interesting game, and just so many things. I mean, being a Star Trek fan, it was like, oh yeah, there's Riker. You can assign that as duty officer. You can have Beverly as your duty officer, and the starship as well. You control starship. You have a bit of an area control there. And there are some clever things in there. Like you basically have 3 actions, and then there are actions that doesn't cost you an action. And there's so many good things. I think they are probably a little bit to learn at the start, but once you know the flow, and then everything is just flowing.
Yeah, deck builder with everything, like Dominion with all its expansions, is a good representation. It's a really tight game.
Very.
But you can get your cards from a common deck build type market, or you can get them from your character's reserve of cards, or you can buy them from there, or you can area control over locations. And then once you've got the cards, you can either try to get them persistent or keep them in your deck. And the game, it doesn't really last that long. You don't have that many turns. You have to really optimize using that to find the cards that are worth the most, or to push up on these personal tracks that make cards worth more.
Yeah, that one.
So it's very,
good.
very tight.
And you keep upgrading your deck, not only by the common card, but the cards from your own deck. So at first, first few, you just get them randomly every time you recycle your deck. So you need to just like shuffle your discard and then put in your deck, and then you gain the upgrade. So recycling that, using a lot of cards, actually great for you. And then when that deck is gone, and then you pay and choose the upgrade that you want, that kind of like drive your games, escalate your game also. It's a really satisfying one, that one.
And so we come to my number one for December, and this is Kingdom Legacy. This is from Fricks Games. It is a one and done solo game, and it had a really different flow to any other solo game, or really a lot of games that I've played. It's kind of, for a solitaire game, it kind of felt like I was playing an old Klondike game or something like that, just making decisions of that kind of difficulty, which was really good.
Yep.
It is a game where you begin with a deck of 10 cards, and every card has it's two-sided and it's two-directional, and you can use them to upgrade. So if I begin with some resources, I deal out 4 cards, and I could spend the resources on 3 of those cards to upgrade the 4th one. And to upgrade it, you're either going to flip it, or you're going to flip it over to the other side. That will make it more powerful, or it will make it worth points. And every time you deal out 4 new cards, you can only ever, anytime you upgrade a card, all the cards on the table go to the discard pile. So you couldn't use resources from 2 cards to upgrade the other 2. And if you don't like the 4 cards, or if you want to push to try to get a card that's going to upgrade this one, you can draw 2 extra cards at a time. But the more you do that, the more quickly you're going to get through the deck, and therefore the less stuff you're going to get to upgrade. So you're constantly making little decisions like that. When you cycle your deck, 2 new cards from here get added into it, and those will have more powerful cards, or there'll be some negative cards that will block things up. And so you just kind of play through this at a leisurely pace, and it's really fun.
Yeah. It's only one copy that we have, so Tarrant played that, so you can't really be messed around after that, because
you do put stickers on things. You are supposed to rip cards up and things like that. And then once you get through the basic campaign, there are expansions that you can add into it as well that give you these extra missions and just let you keep doing that same sort of thing. So
it's really good. It's designed by the brother who designed Terraforming Mars. So it's the same company. And this is like Aston release, pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a really fun game. And what is your highlight of December? Or what are your highlights? You probably play a lot of games. You have more time to play games. Let us know in the comments, and if you could please like and subscribe. That will be really appreciated. And hopefully you have a great day, great new year, and see you soon for our top 10 or top 20 games of 2024. Bye!